If that elevator had taken even 5 more seconds to open, I don't think I'd be here to tell this story. I know that sounds dramatic. Believe me, I get it. People stretch the truth when they're scared. But the memory of what happened on the 7th floor of that hospital still jolts me awake, sweat-soaked and shaking, because sometimes, when the house is quiet and the hour's late, I can still hear that wet, slapping footstep in the dark. For a split second, I'm back in that hallway, jamming the call button with a numb thumb and praying the doors will open fast enough this time. I'd been on nights for just under a year. By then, I knew the rhythm of 3 a.m. ward calls, the stale coffee smell in the break room, the way the whole building seemed to breathe after midnight. Old hospitals groan like they have arthritis, timbers expanding, pipes contracting, ancient fans shuddering awake whenever the thermostat sighs. You learn what noises are normal and which ones aren't. I thought I knew the difference. That night proved me wrong. My shift started at 11. Outside, July humidity clung to everything. Inside, the central air blasted so hard the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry insects. Lucy, the charge nurse, was handing out assignments when security phoned in sick. Bad takeout, they said. Facility still needed the 7th floor walkthrough signed off. Nobody volunteered. I drew the short straw. Newest hire always does. And in a place that runs half its forms on carbon copy, seniority is everything. People think hospitals run on science. The truth is, we run on superstition just as much. Never say the ER is quiet, never mention a full moon, and never joke about the long-term care wing on 7. Years ago, they stripped that floor of patients, staff, life itself, and left it in preservation limbo. Beds rammed against walls, monitors unplugged, curtains yellowed by time. Under renovation, the sign claimed. But no contractor had set foot there in over a decade. Budget cuts, asbestos, ghost stories, take your pick. Housekeeping avoided it. Nurses whispered about it. Just after 1 a.m., I stepped into the elevator. Metal clipboard clutched like a shield. The cab rattled upward, 4, 5, 6, LED numbers blinking tired red. With each floor, the air cooled, pressing against my eardrums like cabin pressure in a descending jet. Finally, ding, 7. The doors slid apart with a reluctant grind, revealing a corridor bathed in flat, sickly light. Even before I stepped out, I caught the smell. Stale disinfectant, wet plaster, and something sour. Old linen, maybe, gone to mildew. I crossed the threshold and felt the temperature plummet. Goosebumps rippled along my arms. Lights hummed overhead, some flickering just enough to make the wall shadows twitch like living things. Breathing through my mouth, I started down the hallway, boots thudding on chipped linoleum, scarred by countless gurneys. My flashlight carved a narrow cone through the gloom, picking out half-open doors, dusty bulletin boards, do not use tags fluttering on dead junction boxes. Halfway down, the corridor kinked left. Room 712 waited around that bend. Everyone knows 712. Its number shows up in every ghost story memo passed among night shifters. Some say elderly woman died there under questionable sedation. Others whisper a cancer patient hung himself with his IV line after the insurance money ran out. Whatever the tale, one detail never changes: the wave. Linger outside 712 all alone, and someone inside will lift a hand. A slow, deliberate goodbye. I laughed at those stories my first month. I wasn't laughing now. My footsteps echoed thinly, the corridor swallowing every other sound. At the doorway, I paused, pen hovering over the checklist. Fire extinguisher present, emergency light intact, door latch functional. Routine. But before the pen touched paper, metal scraped somewhere inside. Long, drawn-out, shrieking enough to raise the hairs on my neck. My flashlight dipped toward the noise, and that's when I saw the bed. It floated out of the darkness like invisible hands were tugging it. A heavy steel frame with side rails welded upright. No mattress, just a wire spring deck that shrieked with every inch of movement. It rolled 3 feet past the threshold, wheels squeaking, then stilled. No windows open, no vents strong enough to shove a 200-pound bed, and no prank. Housekeeping wouldn't set foot here at night. Curiosity pinned me in place. The light skimmed the floor, catching something wet and glistening where the bed had been. A thin trail, almost footprints. Bare feet, uneven. as though whoever made them limped or dragged a leg. The prints began in a shadowed corner, ended at the bed, toes pointed forward, like someone climbed up and simply vanished. My mouth went dry. The radio on my hip crackled once, static, then died, battery light winking out. I shook it, hard, heartbeat thundering in my ears. The beam steadied long enough to reveal what came next. Wet footsteps. Not in front of me, behind me. Slap, slap, slap. Bare feet smacking linoleum, quickening, closing the gap. It sounded like a swimmer sprinting across a locker room floor. Instant scream, don't look back. Some ancient piece of my brain believed if I never saw it, it might not see me. I ran. The flashlight's beam reeled, shadows strobing across peeling wallpaper, boots splashed through puddles I hadn't seen earlier. Cold water soaking my socks, every nerve sizzled with panic, yet the corridor felt endless, unfolding to keep me trapped. At last, the elevator alcove appeared. I slammed the call button, crack, again, crack, plastic shell spiderwebbing under my thumb. Nothing. I hit it over and over until the backplate rattled. The footsteps halted. Silence pressed in so heavy I could hear my own ragged breaths echo back from empty rooms. Then another sound. Breathing. That wasn't mine. Slow draws. Ragged exhales, lungs laboring through fluid. It seeped from every doorway at once. I whispered a prayer I barely remembered. Ding! The elevator cracked open an inch, stalled, then slid wide. I dove inside, nearly dropping the clipboard, stabbing the G button till the plastic squealed. Doors trembling shut, I risked one final glance. There, where the overhead bulbs had died, stood a figure, just inside the flashlight's fringe. Towered, skeletal shoulders bowed beneath a threadbare gown, skin the color of melted candle wax, stretched over bones. The head lolled sideways, chin resting on a collarbone like the neck could no longer carry its own weight. Eye sockets, dark, endless, locked onto mine with a familiarity worse than hatred. And then, because nightmares follow rules, it raised one hand and waved. Slow, languid, a gesture that felt like both apology and threat. Whomp. The door sealed, the cab lurched downward. Only then did my legs fold. I slid to the floor, clipboard clattering beside me. 15 seconds to the lobby felt like an hour. I counted heartbeats, half expecting the cab to stall, to hear fingernails dragging across steel. But the doors opened on bright, ordinary light. Security cameras caught me stumbling out, pale, wide-eyed, wet footprints tracking across polished terrazzo. I told no one. How do you explain terror like that without sounding delusional? Yet the image of that hand haunted me until morning break. When I cornered Helen, senior nurse, there since dial phones. The instant I said 7, her face tightened. I hadn't even mentioned the wave when she sighed, eyes sad and knowing. Room 712, you Sue? You saw him, didn't you? She told me the rest in a whisper, like the walls were listening. A long-term patient, terminal, mind unraveling from pain and despair. One night they found him in the corner. IV tubing looped twice around his neck, knees hugged to his chest, eyes fixed on the door as if waiting for visitors who never came. The night aide swore he lifted a hand. Goodbye, even after the team called time of death. Reports trickled in. A porter quitting after glimpsing a barefoot man in the stairwell, a new grad screaming in the linen closet. Administration sealed the floor, blaming budgets and asbestos. Anything but the truth. Helen's last words came soft as a lullaby. He only walks when you're alone. I quit 2 days later. Family emergency, I claimed. I promised myself I'd change careers, move states, anything. But sometimes, when the house is quiet and the hour's late, I wake to the fragile hush of my own breathing and feel sure that if I open my bedroom door, I'll find fresh, wet footprints leading away from the threshold, and I'll remember that elevators everywhere still take just a little too long to arrive.